Is generally a summary of AC's speech. AC, I want to ask you very quickly, did you get anything from this that's going to help you become a better speaker? Feel free to tell me if you did.
Not quite.
Okay. So, here is an evaluation that I would give. First of all, I'm going to start out by focusing on the speech and not the speaker. So, to begin, AC's speech today was really interesting because he took an interesting take on storytelling. Normally when I hear a storytelling, I'm thinking of a story, once upon a time to the end. And AC's speech was done differently than that. Instead, the speech focused on a story of characters that were all razors. And that made his speech memorable to me. The second thing I'm going to want to focus on is the specific technical parts of his speech. I'm going to want to look at things like his vocal variety, the opening, body, and close, whether it's organized, did it have a point, all the things we learn in speeches 2 through 6 of our Competent Communicator Manual. So, to continue. One of the things I found very effective when AC was speaking was how well he scanned the room. He managed to maintain eye contact with everyone. And that's something that we as Toastmasters should be trying to accomplish. Because when we do it, it develops a connection between the speaker and the audience and draws the audience in. As a speaker, AC accomplished this, and I would like to see all of us working on the same thing. For me, I would have preferred that there had been more movement in his speech. Because by moving, he could have created emphasis on some of his points. But the movement that AC had was very effective and enhanced his speech quite a bit. So we as Toastmasters need to be consciously aware of how we're using our bodies, how we are emphasizing our points using our bodies. Technically, this speech was well organized. It had an amazing way of keeping us entertained. By starting us off in one direction and then switching around to another, AC kept us guessing. He kept us involved and kept us interested. And we were all just waiting to see what he said next. By using that kind of switch, AC and his speech created something in us that made us want to listen to the rest of it. And this is a technique that most of us can use when we are speaking, trying to find a way to create a little double entendre, or some way of taking the audience in a different direction, so that we are continually interested in what you have to say. I especially liked the closing of this speech, because it was a call to action. Admittedly, it was a call to action to help him figure out which razor blade to use, but he still engaged us. He got each of us involved in thinking about what would we do if it was us who was making this decision. And that's a great way to end a speech. We could also have ended it with a bigger bang or a pop, but given AC's particular style of speaking, this fit very well with him. The next thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to talk about what it meant to me. Speaking as someone who is not volubly challenged, who is half Italian, the idea of turning my razors into characters in a story was fascinating. I thought it was a very creative way to take a personal story and make it memorable. And I will remember this speech because it's something that I found to be interesting and funny. The other thing that AC did extremely well, and that we can all learn from, is his use of humor. There was humor sprinkled throughout the entire speech, which kept us engaged. How often do we go to a speech when we start feeling a little bit lost because the person's voice is monotonous and they're talking and talking and talking, and eventually you fade out? By using humor, we can keep that from happening with our audience. Because when you laugh, it creates energy, which you then give to the speaker, and the speaker gives back to you. So it was well done on AC's part. Some things that I think could have made the speech even better, and that AC might want to try the next time he gives the speech, is to show a little bit more vocal variety. The vocal variety, as far as pitch and volume, was very, very same. There were some nice pauses. Particularly, he did a good job pausing for time for people to laugh. But the rest of the speech was somewhat monotoned. And I think adding some ups and some downs, changes in perhaps pitch, changes in volume, could have emphasized some of the points. Perhaps during the part when he said, 6 blades? What am I going to do with 6 blades? And really emphasize that to make how absurd it is to have 6 blades when you're already politically challenged. The last thing that I would like to talk about is when AC owned the room. He walked up here, and as we all should do, he showed confidence. He paused for just a second. And that's something that I think is a good tip for all of us to use. Pause. Wait for the audience to focus on you, to focus on what you're going to say, and to be just a little anticipatory before you speak. That way everyone has settled, everyone's had a chance to really focus on the right thing, and you command their attention from the very beginning. All in all, this was a very well-given speech. It still needs a little bit of pruning and tweaking and twisting to be the exemplary speech that it can be. But at the moment, we had an excellent example of the way to take a personal story, tweak it slightly, twist it around, and make it into a credible story. Thank you.